Hi, once again. Welcome to Africa Trade Fair TV. My name is Kwesi Appiaje with my brother, Genoid. Today, we are here to introduce the topic that is why most entrepreneurs fail and how to make them successful. So, today, we are killing two birds with just a stone. That is the problem, and then we diagnose with a challenge. So, my brother, welcome once again.
Thank you.
So, we know our viewers, we have educated them about who an entrepreneur is and what business is, so there is no need of going back to those questions. So, what usually makes most of the entrepreneurs fail in their businesses and how to make them successful? But the success part will come later. So, what usually make the entrepreneurs fail, most of them at a time?
First, I want to start off by putting this out there. Failure is an inevitable thing in life, which means it's going to happen no matter what. You're going to fail in life, period. The only way you won't fail is if you stay in your house, probably stay in the closet and don't do anything productive with your life.
Even that is a failure itself.
Even that's a failure right there, right?
That's
But
very
failure
nice.
is inevitable in life, so you have to understand that. So when you go as an entrepreneur, if you go into an endeavor, you have to understand that there is not just a possibility, it's an inevitability of failure.
Okay.
So you start off with, okay, I'm going to fail. Not saying that you should try to fail, but that failure is a stepping stone,
Yeah.
a building block towards success.
That's
And if you look at that, every time you fail, you look at it as a stepping stone.
Wow.
You look at it as a building block towards success. That's
great.
the first thing I want to start off with. Now, I want to go into deeper, right? The second level is a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't have enough capital,
Wow.
right? So they start a business, they don't have enough capital, probably for payroll if you have employees, not enough capital for products and services or maintenance of the business. Um, Prime example, today I looked up a wallet company. About 2 years ago, that wallet company had a website and everything. Now there's no website.
Wow.
So most likely that company went out of business. Probably not enough capital, or they just didn't have enough marketing, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons that businesses fail. Another one is people don't know their market. They don't know their customers. If you get into business, you have to know who your customers are. Who are you going to be selling to? Right? So you have to understand the demographic. What kind of people? Where do they shop? What kind of stuff do they like? You have to understand that, because if you understand that, you could better market to them.
Wow, that's great.
Okay. Another thing is lack of vision. It says in the Bible, where there is no vision, the people perish. Right?
Yes.
People don't have the vision to look down long term and see themselves being successful.
Well,
right? They don't have the vision to see that business successful. So they don't have that vision. So when failure comes up, when objections come up, a lot of them just give up and quit.
wow.
So that's another thing. Another thing that I experienced personally, it wasn't me of myself that actually experienced this failure, but somebody I knew, is they took on too much and they couldn't handle it by themselves. So you have to understand, if your company starts off small and you're expanding, you have to understand that you can't do everything by yourself. You can't always be the CEO, the CFO, the employee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can do
Human
experiments. Yeah.
resources. You can't always do it by yourself. You're only one person. You only have 24 hours in a day, and half of that you probably take sleeping and doing whatever. So you can't do everything by yourself.
Understand.
So basically, that's being the jack of all trades. You can't be the jack of all trades. Poor planning. They say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So poor planning, you know, leads to failure, right? But some of these I'm going to give you at the end how you can overcome them, because some of these is basically they're failures that you're going to face. You can't always plan for everything. That's one of them. So I'm going to, at the end of this, I'm going to tell you how you can mitigate all of those.
Okay.
Some people can't accept advice or criticism. They think they know it all.
Mm.
So that's one of the things. So, so you have to be a student. You have to be like a sponge. You got to be able to soak it up and retain it.
Wow.
And that's what it goes back to what I told you in the last video about B,
Yes.
because B embodies of that success. Like I said, if you be, you are basically embodying the successful traits of that person.
Wow.
So
That
your
is great.
success rate is higher than somebody that
Who fake?
didn't that fakes it.
That's great.
Delegating, that's something that I learned, that you want to be able to give tasks to other people that you can't do. If I'm the CEO, of the company, and I need a website designed, but I have to do this and I have to do this, I shouldn't take it on myself. I should be able to say, okay, let me hire someone to do this for me.
Wow.
It cuts time,
Yes.
and you'll have somebody that's an expert doing that, so
Yes.
it's more professional.
That's great.
And the last one is lack of internal skills, which we kind of touched on before. Internal skills is like leadership skills,
Okay.
motivation, drive. Those are just some of the things. And so I told you I wanted to touch on some of these to kind of tell you how you can mitigate them.
Yeah.
And one of them is burnout. A lot of people, they bite off more than they could chew.
Yeah.
And they think they could do it all.
Yes.
This is where delegating comes in, right? If you say, okay, this is a lot, look for a friend or try to put out an ad.
Or even a subordinate at the workplace.
Yeah, try to find someone that can help you in the business.
Yeah.
Even if they just take on one task, it's freeing up your time. So that way you're not overworked. You're not overworking yourself.
Yes.
Poor planning.
Okay.
That's one of the main ones I think I want to touch on to help you mitigate is you won't always know exactly what to do.
Wow.
Or you won't know always where to start. And this ties into having vision, because if you have vision and seeing yourself or seeing that business successful, you can start where you are. You can say, okay, what can I do today to take a step towards being successful in this?
Wow.
So you start there, and then you learn whatever you got to learn there, and then you say, okay, you look and say, what else can I do?
Yeah.
So you're not neglecting those little baby steps
Wow.
that you need to take, because those baby steps ultimately lead
Very important
to those
Yeah.
big leaps that get you to success. So
right.
that's one of the things. And the last thing I'm gonna say is the lack of internal skills. It goes back to B,
Yeah.
because those internal skills are a lot more important than the other ones. Like if you have lack of capital, right? Guess what? There's a way that you can get the capital.
Yeah. By borrowing.
You don't even have to borrow. It's just about being creative. Creativity is a skill. It's a skill. You don't have to start out with the capital. You could say, okay, I'm going to be creative. How can I make some money to fund this? And then you could say, okay, you know what? I can do this. I can go sell this, or I can do this, or I can help somebody with this. If you're creative enough, trust me, you will find a way. But that's an internal thing. It's not external.
All right. I understand. Thank you very much for your insight. And to add to what, let me say, Sejan said, government policies, unfavorable government policies can also be one of the reasons why most of the entrepreneurs fail. Why? When the government actually sought to increase taxation, it can actually affect the strength and the capital of the business, and as a result, it can lead to failure. And more or less inadequate cash flow. That is when the cash flow from your customers is not adequate, meaning you are not satisfying your customers. As a result, they are not buying from you. And because of that, you are not getting in much more internal cash flow. It will definitely affect the strength and the capital of the business, and failure will definitely come in. So lastly, we are moving on to how to be successful or how to get this problem solved. So back to Brother John. So how are we going to diagnose such problem if, there is any solution to this?
So the biggest solution I can say is understanding what you're getting into.
Yeah,
That's the first thing.
that's great.
You have to understand whose court are you stepping in.
Wow.
It's like you got to kind of treat it like a battlefield. Whose court are you stepping in?
Yeah.
And if you understand that, you could say, okay, you could be able to do some research. And I would say do research on the field that you're getting into. Try to get to know it as much as possible before you get in. It's like stepping into a pool. Most of the time, you put your foot in there. You
Yes.
feel, is it cold? Is it hot? Do I just want to jump into it? You know what I mean? So you want to test out the water, see how it is, and then, you can't be afraid to jump into the water,
Wow.
but you have to test it first.
Understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to test it first. So understanding your market is important. Understanding, who are my customers? Who am I going to be marketing to? That's very important. That'll cut the rate of failure in your business. Some internal things now, right? Is you got to be determined as an entrepreneur. You have to be, because you fail more times than you are successful as an entrepreneur.
Wow.
You really do, because failure is basically life letting you know that you haven't developed into the person that will be able to create this success. So life will throw you curveballs and throw you different things in order for you to grow. Because they say you don't get in life what you want.
You are right. Yeah.
You don't. You get in life what you are. So that's why I keep saying this over and over. If you are successful, right, internally, you will get the success.
Wow.
But you can't mitigate failure. You just have to go through failure. Because failure, what it does is, if you don't give up, I should say, because you're going to face failure. If you don't give up, what failure does for you, it teaches you lessons. It builds that mental toughness. It builds that resilience. You learn so much more. And if you continue learning and learning, before you know it, you're going to be, you might be one of the top experts in your field. You might be the best marketer, or you might have the best service, but you can't mitigate failure. You have to be determined, really, really determined, because like I said, you're going to face failure more times than you are successful. That's one of the big things, because that's why a lot of people fail. They give up. They give up.
Okay.
Even if you go into something, you could be dumb. You could be as dumb as a rock. You don't have to be a genius to be an entrepreneur and be successful. You could be as dumb as a rock. But if you are determined to be successful, you will be successful.
Wow.
Because you don't give up. You don't let adversity, you don't let failure, you're not defeated by defeat.
Wow.
So that's probably like the biggest thing I could tell you, is being perseverant and determined to be successful. That could kind of crush everything, because it's kind of like a bulldozer. Failure and all those obstacles in your way, you have a bulldozer, you're kind of just pushing all of that out of the way. So that's the biggest thing I could give you guys as a tip to be successful. Do your research, definitely. Learn as much as you can about it, but the internal parts are more important than the external things that.
Yes. That's great. Okay, thank you very much. So definitely, you don't need to be afraid of failure. Get to know that failure is a gateway to success. So when it comes, don't be despaired, don't be discouraged, don't, set back. You have to push and push on, and that will definitely lead to the success that you are looking for. So failure is part of success, not an enemy, or let me say anti, what should I say? Something that against success. No, it's simply part of. So if you fail, get to know that you are closer to what? Success. So you shouldn't be discouraged. For instance, you have to climb to the mountaintop before you descend. So if you are climbing, just see the kind of struggle, the kind of pains that you go through. But all of them are kind of exercise, a kind of wisdom and knowledge and experience that you are gaining. So when you get there and you're descending, you get to know how it is and how it feels like. So failure is just other tastes of success that will let you know how sweet success is. So when it comes, that is not a reason for you to walk out from your business, but rather you have to be determined and then move on. And to add it lastly, government policies unfavorable, like when the policies from the government is not favorable to the business, like increment of taxation and others, it will definitely affect the business entrepreneurs. So what you have to do is, instead of being in an unhealthy rival with your competitors, you can rather network, team up together, form an organization that can actually push the hand of the government in your favor. And lastly, you have to ensure good customer service to enhance adequate cash flow. And most importantly, don't be afraid to fail. It's simply part of success.
You have to pay the cost to be the boss, man.
Yeah,
And that's
failure is the hallmark of success. It shows you are too close. Thank you. God bless you. Kindly like, subscribe, and comment and share for us. See you another time. Take care. Bye bye. Music.